Welcome again to Latam. It's a pleasure to see you for the second day of our event. For those of you who have just joined us, Latam is a new chapter in a series of online events called From Home Export Days, organized by Le Bureau Export, the French music export office. If you're curious about yesterday's panel, check out our website as the replay is now available. Today's panel is called Getting to Grips with Sync, and it is moderated by Patricia Carrera, licensing royalties specialist and music supervisor at Control Freaks in Mexico. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay tuned for our upcoming events. Take it away, Patty.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. We're really excited. Thank you to the Bureau for asking us to be here. It's really exciting for us. We've known each other and we have worked in Mexico and in Latin America, and we're really glad to be here. So thank you very much. I have here 4 friends. They are all music supervisors. They are awesome, amazing, and they have amazing tips that they're gonna give you. I'm gonna let each of them introduce themselves, just like in a tweet. What are you, for how long have you been working here, and what is your favorite project up to now that you have done? So I hope you get as much information as possible, and this is useful for you, and you have fun as well. So yeah, I'm gonna start giving Gimena Bárcenas, Jimmy. Can you please?
Yes, good evening. I'm Gimena Bárcenas, but everybody call me Jimmy. I'm an independent music supervisor. I started working at a music studio doing jingles and sound logo for major brands. Then I was a creative coordinator for Mattel. So I was, coordinating TV ads for Mattel worldwide. Then I was an executive producer for Lemon Films. They just released a new TV series for Netflix called Control Z. So I used to work with them as an executive producer. And then it was, since day one, I started licensing music. So it was like a natural step for me to become a music supervisor. And I specialize in advertising. Recently, I worked with Corona, Fiat, and Dutch.
Cool. Thank you.
And Walmart. Yeah.
What's your favorite project up until now?
Up until now, it has to be Fiat, but I cannot tell a lot of this campaign because it hasn't been released. So I don't want to ruin the surprise.
and that happens often, that we cannot talk about the projects that we're working on. Thank you, Jimmy. Welcome. Thank you very much. Javier Nuño from Indice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh no, thank to you, Patty, and Marine, and Benjamin. I'm a music supervisor since 2016, I think. Yes, 2016. My partner and I founded Indice. I'm a lawyer and he's a musician. So we care both sides. I take care about all the administrative and all the legal stuff, and he takes care of all the pitching and all the creative stuff. We are an agency of 2 people and another 3 people more, and that's it.
Cool. And your favorite project?
I don't know about my favorite project. I mean, I have a couple of ones. Colmenares, I think it's one of the ones. I'm no longer here. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's so cheesy to say, but I think all are the best for me.
Yes, it's like choosing from your kids, right?
Exactly.
But in the end, you have a favorite.
No. For me personally, I don't have a favorite. I have a least favorite, yes, but I don't have a favorite.
I'm not gonna ask you about the list.
Exactly.
Thank you, Javi. Okay, Hector Vazquez, no pararemos. Thank you. Hello.
Hi everyone, thanks Patty for inviting me. Yeah, I'm Hector Vazquez. I've been working in the music industry here in Mexico since I think 2010, more or less. I started working more in the label world, doing stuff with musicians directly, with artists, in kind of management and in royalties and all that kind of stuff. I was also involved there with the music supervision department of the label, so I kind of started getting involved into that in that phase. After that, I started working more like in management with different artists, and after that, I decided with my partner now to start No Pararemos. No Pararemos is an agency not just focused on music supervision, but we do all other stuff. My partner gets involved in that with working for brands, doing like BTL stuff, and I take care of all the music supervision stuff. And we kind of do this venture with the clients we work with, because we can offer like all those different services in the same company. So yeah, I've been doing music supervision like 4 or 5 years ago. And what else? Yeah, my favorite project. I think, well, as you already said, is like difficult to choose one, but I would say I really like working in this movie called Las Niñas Bien, or Good Girls in English. I think I like it because the process was really easy with the director, like to speak with it. It was really fluid, and the ideas went worked really well. And I think we got a really nice job there. So I think that's the one.
That's a really nice project as well. Thank you, Hector. And now we're going to Rafael Hernández. Thank you very much, all the way to Colombia. Thank you very much for being here. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and give your favorite project. But also, I want you please to start talking a little bit of what we said, of giving a perspective of how is working the music supervising, ambient, or I don't know how to say it, in South America. We want to give you guys that are watching like an idea of the market, of how it works and so on in our business. So we're going to start from South America, and then we're going to start moving up. So thank you, Rafa, for being here.
Hey, hello everybody. First, thank you very much, Patty, and Team the Royal Export for this invite. I'm Rafael from Bogota, Colombia. Actually, I partner client manager and music supervisor for MusicAll. We have been able to be charged of multiple projects such as series, films, documentaries, advertising campaigns, video games. Ruben Blades, Know My Name, Versus Pashats, Buenaventura, No Me Dejes Más, from Yuri Buenaventura, a musician, composer, singer from Colombia, Clown Forever, brands such as Samsung, Falabella, El Corte Inglés, Tigo Móvil, Claro Móvil, among others, for territory and the region, Latam, Central America, Mexico, US, and countries Europe. Also, I am publicist, drummer, and guitar player.
Nice.
And the current situation and in the specific case, Latin America offers several good and positive opportunities. Nowadays, people around the world can listen in multiple languages, and these new technologies allow us through just one single click to discover from the music, discovery from the world. It's time that this action become more real, and the pandemic has put us away from people. And there is no doubt that visual are more emotional ways to travel and through the world. In case of Colombia, the market it's moving in a very interesting way, but sadly there have been some difficult moments. However, there are always many opportunities for the new projects. It's a kind of strange that foreign music is very well received here, and sometimes it's even easier to sing foreign music than local one. The use for music in Colombia can be seen more or less in 20 and 30% in such as studios, film, and documentaries. In advertising campaigns, it uses more height. But for musical, we work hard every day to improve and reinforce these spaces.
Right. So we were talking when we were preparing this panel about the figure of music supervisor in South America. And what we researched really and what we found out, because three of us, we work in Mexico City, Hector, Javier, Jimmy work in Mexico City, and I'm also in Mexico City, and Rafa works in Colombia, Mexico, and the United States. So what we know is that in South America, the figure of music supervisor is not quite there yet. They are beginning to do it, but there are other people who take those functions, let's say, in a production. So Javi, can you tell us, please, you have worked in projects for many countries and latitudes. Can you tell us a little bit, who are those people that are taking those how do you say it, that job,
task? I mean, in my experience, I have seen that in Argentina and Chile, most of them, there are lawyers who clear the lawyers that clear all the labels and all the brands and all the copyright, also clear the music in those countries. And most of them, they hire around the world other music supervisors, or the production, they clear all the sync, all the things they clear. Some people at the, I don't know if it's the line producer or or an assistant of production, but they clear all the, I mean, in-house, they clear everything. And the pitch, it comes from the director or the showrunner. So it kind of do it or in-house lawyers, or they hire some people from other countries so they can cover that.
Okay, so from the creative perspective, we could say that producers, directors, showrunners, editors are the ones who are selecting the music and then taking the music to like these people that you're talking about, lawyers or someone else, to do that part of the process, right?
Yes.
Cool. So in that sense, Jimmy, you have always worked, you have as well worked in projects of many sizes and in many countries. And how do you think that these catalogs that are watching us from France, it doesn't mean that it's only music made in French, right? It's just music that is produced in France, in other languages as well, and many genres. So how do you see like opportunities down there? We're talking, remember, always South America, and we're going to talk about Mexico later on.
Yeah, actually they have a huge opportunity here in Mexico City, because like Mexico is like the central for all these upcoming productions regarding TV and also advertising. They usually create the campaign here for the whole region, and they just adapt the voiceover in other territories. So, for instance, like a director, a creative director, saw a band from Colombia in a music festival here, and it was like quite like an indie band. And they live like in the jungle. So it was hard to reach them, but we sync them in a Indio, like a pure TV ad. So if the bands that these catalogs represent, like tour in Mexico or in the States, or they have a huge opportunity to be seen and heard from these creatives and be synced later in advertising, because on one hand they look for like really popular charts songs, but on the other hand they wanna be the ones that like I discovered this band and no one heard it before it was placed, it was synced in my TV ad or in my movie. They want to be like transcendent. So it's a huge opportunity for them here. I think the market is open for new songs.
Right. And we have said before that this market is really growing and productions are coming up with better budgets and so on, but it's still in South America, it's still like trying to reach. And it's happening, and we're really happy because now, for example, Rafa, that is doing a great work over there. And we know that most of the opportunities now, they're from advertising more than films because of the budgets and all those things, right? And also, I want to talk a little bit about budgets in South America. How do they compare to these other territories? Are we talking about a percentage or something? Hector, do you have an idea of how much it works? Or Rafa, who do you think?
Well, go ahead, Rafa. Okay. Well, at least here in Mexico, I would say like to understand like that part of how it works, I would define like specifically how the market, for example, in the film industry works here. I did like kind of a little research, or for example, I searched for the numbers of the last year that IMCINE and Canacine like sense of what happened with the film industry, and it was for me like kind of important to discover that, for example, of the Mexican films that were released last year, like half of them were were released because of economic aid from the government. There, you have to know, like for the ones that don't know the Mexican market, that there's like these support programs for producers, so they can have enough money to produce a film. So that's where I would say that from that part is where you can like kind of imagine how the budgets for those productions work. Uh, and I think that's interesting to understand, because that's where you can say how budgets are managed, and sometimes, or at least what happened to me in most times is that, or many of the producers start taking care of music after the production already started, and it's difficult for them to manage the budget for music after that. So I always try to tell them that they have to make a plan before everything starts, so they can manage to have that budget, enough budget for what they are planning to get for music. So most of them are trying to do that now, and they are relying on that economical support, so they can have enough money for every part of the production, including music. So yeah, I think that's from where they kind of plan how much money they will have to pay for music.
Okay, so in that sense, our recommendation is just not get your expectations high, because in these territories it works differently. We are still growing and learning about managing budgets, and in South America is more difficult as well, because in general there's no a lot of money for producing. So us as music supervisors, I think we try to be as clear, as transparent as possible regarding budgets. So yeah, just be ready to receive offers that you probably are going to think, oh, this is low. Yes, but for us and how it works, is different. And also, now that you're starting to talk about Mexico, let's travel a little bit to the north and talk about Mexico. Here we have a lot of productions going on. We have companies, international companies coming. And right now you're talking to 5 music supervisors, and we are right now, all of us, we're working in several projects at a time. So let's talk a little bit about that. And Javi, can you tell us a little bit here in Mexico, how do you feel that is working, opportunities for these people that are watching these catalogs?
In terms of what? In terms of opportunities like pitching, or I mean,
how do you see in general in Mexico, like the growing market of productions and also opportunities for these catalogs?
I mean, I think every song of every genre can be syncable. I think that everything, it is not like there are no rules in here, and there are no kind of a particular of music that can be more syncable. It depends everything on the project. It depends if you have something from the 90s, you have to search something from the 90s. If you have something based on salsa or cumbia, you have to do like, I mean, it kind of changes the direction, and there are no rules in here in terms of what can be sync or what cannot be sync. I have synced IDM, from IDM to cumbia, death metal, pop, hip hop, rap, reggaeton, trap, everything so syncable. So I think that there are really good opportunities for catalogs in Mexico, because I think we have to, since we are so close to USA, we can sync. I mean, in our projects, they're so syncable to think about Europe and USA, and also Latin America. Asia, it can be like kind of more difficult to think, but I think like Europe and USA and Latin America will be the most syncable songs that you can have.
Right. And about pricing, there's an interesting question here about pricing and Argentina. For example, here in Mexico City, the dollar costs almost 25 pesos. Can you believe it? So when you talk to us about it, like in dollars, it's like, wow. So, and Nicolas Raymond, hello, he's asking, do you like to work with composers from other countries? Talking about this pricing thing. And also, obviously, if you have a composer that is super talented and is in Ukraine, you just don't care. You work with a Ukrainian, you know? So, yeah. But talking about this, how do you feel? Is it convenient to work with people from other countries? How do you see it in budget-wise, but also creatively?
That's for me, right?
Oh, yes. Go ahead. And then Hector, and then, this is just like a friendly talk, you know? You just... Okay.
Does someone who wants to be before, because I already talked? Hector?
Yeah.
Yes, we love you.
Well, at least for me, I think the price range usually can vary a lot from a foreign composer than a local composer. That's an issue, because if you want to work with someone that's really talented from abroad, might be difficult budget-wise, because sometimes it's not affordable. Creatively, I would say it's like there's of course a lot of talented musicians all over the world, of course, and it's like really nice to be working with people that are maybe that you know that you are, at least for me, when I search for composers, I kind of first think of what the production is looking for, and maybe that thing that is they are looking for is someone that lives in, as you said, in Ukraine or whatever, that understands maybe a specific kind of music that they want to explore, and he's the one to really transmit that feeling, you know. So creatively, I think it's really good that you have an opportunity to work with someone out there, like abroad. But as I already said, the budget sometimes it's an issue to do it.
Yeah.
Of course, I would say, sorry, that obviously here locally you can also find a lot of talented musicians that can work in things. But yeah, that's the both sides of it.
Right. Which of you have synchronized, used music in other languages other than English and Spanish, obviously?
I have done.
Right?
I have done. I always think. Well, I have just French, and no, probably Danish. Well, I don't know what language. Sorry, I mean, if it's a correct language, Danish. But a couple of bands from Denmark, and I think that's all. French and yes, and no, Portuguese. Well, right now we are in the singing Portuguese.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I think there are opportunities for music in other languages, not as much as music in Spanish and English, obviously, because all of us we also take care of the lyrics of the songs that we use. So, and we work in this territory. So, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what would be your recommendations to those catalogs to be more friendly to come to music supervisors. I want to talk about like a basic toolkit. And I have some points marked here that has to do with how they handle their image like branding, how they handle their files, their presentation sheet, like an electronic press kit or something like that, metadata is so important, and then information about right holders and so on. So if you could, each of you, tell me what would be like your main points that you would like to, I don't know how to express it, to recommend to the catalogs, in that sense of how to prepare their own catalog to be friendly for us. What do we like when we find a catalog?
I will start with easy, clear, all songs, both sides, publishing and master. So if they're gonna pitch a song, it has to be easy, clear, because if I wanna present that song to a brand, and later on the process, I found out that there's like a missing songwriter that no one knows where he is, or or maybe the band split and the master is on hold and no one can license it, it's gonna be a huge problem. So make sure it's easy, clear, both sides.
Okay, and before finding the song and doing the actual clearance, Rafa, how do you like to search for music? Talking about this toolbox, how can they put themselves out there? Because right now they're going to talk to us after this talk, and then that's it. But if you don't have that connection, how do you find music, and what would you recommend catalogs to prepare?
First, information organized. In this case, I share codes, publisher, press kit, links to platforms, playlists. Always, for me, playlists is a good tool because I see all visual for the artists and the composers. All really. For me, it's only information, but it is sent organized information and complete and detailed. It is good.
So playlist like Spotify?
No.
Or
no, it's profile platform. No, Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, Apple Music, Claro. No problem.
Okay, and about tagging and that, Hector, how do you feel? How do you find music when you do it?
I kind of like different courses. The main one is I have a filter I do personally, like with all the things that I receive from different parts. Like I like to do like playlists based on different kind of moods, maybe, or that kind of stuff. So it's easier for me when someone asks for something to look for it, and I always like to do that because it's easier, it's faster, and uh, like uh, talking about the question you asked first about what would I like or what would I encourage the most for a catalog to do, I would say that first of all, as Jimmy said, like that to be easy clearing, but also that for me it's really important that I can sometimes get estimates of cost even if I don't have like a specific use right now. But that's very important for me, so I can tell my client, okay, this should go around this or something like that, because they sometimes they don't know specifically how they are going to use the song or how it's going to be placed. But I have to tell. They ask me, "Oh, how much would it be?" And sometimes a lot of artists or catalogs are kind of reluctant to give a number until you give them all the information. So for me, that's an important thing to have.
Right.
I wanna add something else. Like we have a group of music supervisors, so whenever we found out like without music options, we ask each other, and also we ask other publishers. Like we send the reference and we say like, hey, we're looking for something similar to this. The budget range is this, and I think that close communication among music supervisors and publishers is really important. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, for this to be real, it should be understood that should be a partnership between publisher, the label, the management, and the music supervisor.
Right. In South America, we found out that the most important companies that play songs are major publishers. And the publisher is the one that does the job, not the label somehow. So, but in Mexico and these other territories up to Colombia, yeah, we do communicate like to one another, and we try to find independent catalogs. And yeah, I don't know what's the percentage of music from big labels, major labels and publishers, and independent that you use in your productions, but for me it goes like almost 60-40 for independence or something like that. Or I don't know, how do you feel it like in that proportion?
Yeah,
Like-
for me it will be like that. I mean, I'm not trying to avoid majors, but if I have in terms of it is in terms of money placement and in terms of what does the scene need. If it needs a major and or a big song, or if I can experiment with I can make an experiment with something indie or something like really strange and weird. Or I mean, in terms of, but yes, I think for me it depends on the project, but I could be like around 70-30 or 60-40, 65-35. But yes, I love to working with independent. I love to find hidden jewels around the world, hidden music jewels. Like, oh, I found this I don't know, Argentinian band who has just 1,000 plays in, but it's amazing. Or from Norway or Portugal. I mean, it doesn't matter the world, but the what part of the world it can be. And I think that is the, for me, the biggest and greatest thing. It is not about how big is the song. It is about how that thing move your feelings and empathize, empathize with the scene and with what their actors are experiencing. And it is that particular thing that is the biggest thing for me.
Okay. And I think also we like to work with independents because Hector said something really important. Like, we need flexibility, you know? Like, we need for you to be able to give out an estimate quotation for some of your catalog because we don't know what's going to happen. We need you to, if you make a quote and then we can't, confirm the license in a month or in 2 months, and maybe sometimes it goes for longer. You know, I've been working in projects for 2 years. So yeah, I think we actually like when catalogs are just open to anything that can happen. And then had it ever happened to you that you have like a budget and then you say, you know what, I can pay you a little bit more? Does that have ever happened to you? Or not? This is just a trade question.
We have a surplus.
What?
That if we have a surplus that we can like.
Right, like when you're because we're working with independent catalogs, no? Again, so from that comes many other things. These catalogs, most of the artists are trying to just make a living out of it, you know, trying to survive and so on. And sometimes, yeah, it can happen, no? I think.
I mean, I think what one of the most important things that has to have the music supervisor is to be completely transparent about the budget wise and about what does he have and what does he can be able to sing. I mean, I'm not going to overpay for a song, but I can. If I have a surplus and I think it is a great song in a good opportunity, I can give a most like favorite fee.
Right. Okay, so in few words, we could say to you, dear French catalogs, that first, get your music out there and organize it in a way that we can find it, like playlists, like choose themes. And Hector was saying like he organizes and catalogs all the music and then he has folders. And I imagine artist folders like happy moments in the park, or no, I don't know, you know, you start naming your playlist like that. So I think it's really nice.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, maybe not so specifically, but yeah, kind of modes. So I mean, I don't like to have the track like the physical track, if you would say it like that. I have playlists in whatever in Spotify. Well, I use Spotify, for example. And when someone, so maybe, as you said, it's also important for an artist to have their songs out there, like in digital platforms, of course, so you can listen to them easily. At least for me, it's easier to do that than receive the tracks like that, because they're really heavy and for me it's a problem. So I prefer to do that like in a digital platform, uploaded, and for me that's really easy and faster.
Right. Once we find the song, then we want to find who is administering the song. So take care of your metadata. It's really important. And all the information, and again, we're coming to the image. Like, it's really nice when you go to a label profile in Spotify or Deezer or whatever, and then you go to the site and you find that everything is, okay, it's the same company, okay, it's the same contact, you know, like try to be, ¿cómo se dice? Congruente. Coherent, right, and consistent with your communication, and try to bring as much as metadata as you can into your files, and include, please, information about right holders, because it's a nightmare not to be able to, and answer your emails. That's it. I think those are our main requirements. I don't know, Jimmy, Javi, Rafa.
Yeah, I have one more. Like we often go with the original publisher, and later we find out that there's like a sub-publisher here in Mexico. So it's better if we have that information like at the beginning, you know,
right,
to avoid any problem.
Right, because yes, Rafa.
Quick response with the requests and consult composers. If the publisher label does not control, example, the territory, know who their partners and be able to speed up the process. It's clear that's not a new territory, example, a new market and opportunities, Latam. So having a flat fee or fee floor will be great helps to propose it to our different clients' works and songs.
Right.
And plan B, always plan B in case, always propose alternative for your own music and composers in case if the budget is very low. It's very low. Rafael, plan B, another composers, another songs, this genre. By the way.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. Any other tips, clues, things that you like? What's the best experience you can have? Like you find a song, you write, yes, here it is, payment, 2 days. Have you licensed a song in 1 day or 2 days?
I think that the best songs are the ones that could be clear just within a day. I think those are the best ones. That here's the fee, perfect, that's it.
Right.
I would say those ones are mostly independent artists, because when you deal with a major label, it's always more time and you have to wait until they contact the author or whatever, so it takes a little bit more time. So that's another advantage of getting to know more independent artists, I would say. Yeah.
Also, one important thing is that if you have an independent catalog, try to have everything 100% of the songwriters. Because if you have the splits and there's a 10% of an independent song, like with other publisher, that, or the master it is with somebody else, or you don't know where is the master, that could be like kind of a bummer.
Yes, it is. It is. Thank you. Okay, here we have some questions. Do you think jazz has any kind of opportunities for what you do? Yes, totally. Jazz. Have you used jazz in your projects? Yeah. No?
Yes.
It's like Javi said, like every genre, right? It
Yes.
depends on the project. Yeah. Also about timetables, and so I was wondering, how often do you work in a hurry? Like you are really trying to solve things in a very limited time. I know advertising it happens more in advertising than another, but sometimes these other projects, movies, they come already with music like, oh, we are ready to go out. We don't have licenses. What? And then we have to go. Like, how often do you have to face those issues?
I mean, I think for a couple of projects, you can be like really, because it is about like phases, like going in. When you have to close everything, your time could be like a lot more. It cannot be like I don't know how to say it, but yes, probably that is why we clear a lot of one stop, because we have to move on in terms of, because a major song could be for me, for I don't know, for a big songwriter, could be like 1 month or 2 months for an approval, and that could kill you.
Right. Exactly. That's why I was asking, because if we have to make a choice between, one great song and one good song, that can work, but the great song is just not available, they're not answering, you have the time, then you have to just make a decision, right?
Yes.
Okay, Marine, hola, baby. Are you sensitive to the stories behind the music, the artist? Connecting with a music supervisor requires to be straightforward. A link or very few links, facts, and that's it. Like, the question is, do you read long emails?
I think that the songs has to speak from themselves. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a long text or if it's a short text. I think the the best one is if you have a organized catalog in Disco or in other platform, and you can share it, and the songs speak for themselves.
I agree with that because also I would say it's even if you take like as a music supervisor, you take a lot into account the stories. Maybe it's difficult to make them to be worth for a director, or maybe they are just looking for a song and that's it. So maybe not, it's not so easy to transmit them like the story behind a song. So I would say that yeah, the most important thing is that the song speaks for itself and it works because it works fine with the theme. Yeah.
Yeah, like in advertising, I do tell like short stories about the artist and what's coming up next. Like, but definitely not long emails, just a little short story behind the band and what's coming up. You know, like this is an unreleased song, it's going to be released like next year or in 2 months or whatever. So the brand knows like the link that they're going to have with the artist, you know? So in advertising, it is important, but just be short.
Yes. Yes, it has to be short. Yeah, and I think for movies as well, because now we are. I don't know. I always think about the post of the movie, like the soundtrack and what goes on, and the transcendence of the music from the movie. So yeah, but please be brief. Okay, so let's move. I want to ask you. We have very few minutes left. So we have talked about the market, we have talked about budgets, we have talked about who makes decisions in Mexico and in South America regarding what music we're going to use, how we like to be approached, and how we communicate to the catalogs. And I just want each of you to give a few do's and don'ts, like the most one do and one don't for each of you, which is the most important thing for those French catalogs.
I would say that don't attach MP3 files or just send streaming links, please.
Right.
And all the metadata that you said, that's a do, and don't attach MP3 files.
Okay, cool.
For me, patience. That will be. I mean, that's a do and a don't. I mean, if we are talking, probably in our side, we can take like weeks or even a month to answer you, and so you have to be patient and organized. Organization, I think.
Right.
I think for me it would be I always like to have like the complete information on a catalog. I mean, where I can search if I need to look for something. So if you guys like send updates of what you are having or what you have, so I can have it there. So once I need it, I can search for it and I can look for what I need. That's really easy for me. And well, don't I would say maybe what we already said, like maybe not having a really like clarity on estimates for budgets of how much the song would be or something like that. That would be for me like really easy. I can have it.
Right.
Yeah, the same. It's information organized, and no long mail in case excessive links, paragraphs with next.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's really nice when you receive like a pitch for a briefing. I don't know how often do you send briefs of the projects that you're working on to catalogs that you already have? Because all of us, we have catalogs that we already work with, and then we know that they are fast and they have great music, and then we start pitching those. But how often do you send, and how often do you have new catalogs coming in and making new relations?
Not that often, but this is why we're here, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it sometimes, but it's not like so often. I would like to do it more often, actually, because that's really helpful to have like a if you pitch or brief a thing you need, and that several catalogs will send you what they think could fit for that. That's obviously a really helpful resource to have.
Right. Hector, can you use someone tells me, headset? Because I think there's echo in your...
Yeah, I have one here. You can use them. Yeah.
Julian, hello. Julian from the Bureau says, can you think of any big international sync in Latin America? We use a lot of international music and we work with international companies. Can you tell us a little bit, Javier Nuño, projects that are international, like for HBO, Amazon, Netflix, that are big, or for theaters, but international? How do you feel? We have, no? We really have international productions.
Big international. I don't understand the question of Julian. Like,
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, I don't know if it's like from the music side or from the production side.
I think he's talking about the music. Like, you're right, Julian. Okay.
Please elaborate.
No, I think he's talking about big music, like international catalogs of music done with productions in Latin America. Well, let's talk about both, because we do have big productions here in Mexico for international release.
Yes, I think the question is like right now, and a good thing about the streaming and about all these platforms that we have, we can seek songs around the world, even if it's a small or a big song. And in terms of, on the other side, from the production, I think productions can be like too big. And it doesn't matter about the language. I mean, we can see the dark phenomenon that it is in German, and it was a huge success around the world. In Mexico, we have a couple of great successes in other countries, mostly Latin America, but I think I have received feedback from other countries. And I think, I mean, yes, everything could be like, because we're so globalized, like it can work within all the countries. So
yeah, and in terms of advertising, like I just licensed a song from Spain, and it started in Mexico only, and then other markets realized that it was a great campaign and wanted to use it as well, so it extended to Central America. Or I licensed a song from Brazil. We changed the lyrics into Spanish, and also it started in Mexico, and now it's a huge license for whole Latam. So in terms of big syncs, it started like maybe one territory, and then it expands.
Okay, and let's talk. This is about the size of the productions. Now let's talk about the size of the song. Like Michael Jackson, like one of these super hits. Which is the biggest hit that you have used in one of your productions?
Because I have used, like, for a documentary, El Baby, I used like Celebration by Kool and the Gang, Tell Me Houston, Don't Leave Me This Way. Really, I mean, huge songs from the 70s and the 80s. But it's so strange to have I don't know how to measure a big song. I think the least sinkables are the contemporary hits, like Billie Eilish or Beyonce or Ariana Grande. Those are, I think, those are the hardest.
Right.
I'm sorry, go.
No, for me, it's documentary Ruben Blades. It's not my name. It's my favorite project.
Oh, good.
No, discovery that way was the final start was a big hit, El Cantante. The close the documentary is Amor y Control. Also, French Ruben, Sting, Paul Simon, René from Residente.
Right.
Also, see that he's great. Ruben is a great composer, Harvard lawyer, and Minister of Culture of Panama. It's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, for me the biggest sync it has to be "Here Comes Your Man" by the Pixies, and I sing that for film.
For what? Sorry.
For a film, for a
Oh.
movie.
Right.
Right. Another part of the musical, Camila Sarabia, it's management company, M3 Music. She's management from Bomba Stereo.
Right.
Bomba Stereo sing worldwide. La Casa de Papel.
Right.
And Samsung Mobile S8
Okay.
worldwide. This campaign is worldwide. It's amazing. It's amazing. Soy Yo. The
Yeah.
song is super. Your letter, your composer. It's a message. It's a power get. And the song Bulk Explosion worldwide.
Right.
Samsung used the song for the campaign.
Right. Thanks. Hector, what's the biggest?
I would say I once did a Max Richter song for a TV ad. It was really expensive. Also, I would say Kasabian also for another TV ad. And I think those two are the ones I've seen that's like the bigger ones. Yeah.
Okay. I've done Bee Gees, Staying Alive, and Blondie, for example, and those things. Call me. And yes, they're expensive, but they are also administered by major, right, labels and publishers. And the best thing that can happen to us is that a really big song is just managed by one party. That's the best. Like One Stop Shop is, also, it makes us high, really.
Yes.
Marine, could French-produced music or artists become a trend in Latin America production series and movies, or are we very far from this happening? How do you feel?
Like absolutely. Like there's like I work with composers and artists from Stockholm because their sound like urban with pop and something that we'd never heard before here in Mexico. So absolutely, I love an artist, Claude. I don't know that it's from France. I don't know what the lyric says, but it's amazing. The song is called Mojo or something like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I also think. Do you agree, the rest of you guys? We have 2 minutes, so just raise your hand if you agree.
Yeah.
So one more question. How do you find music supervisors in our territories? Okay, I think you have to do your homework. Go into IMDb, go to, you should just find out. I don't know. What do you think? What would be your tips in 1 minute? How to get in touch with us and locate it?
Yes, IMDb, I think it is the best platform, or just Google. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I would.
we are so open to find more music, so we are just don't be shy and Google write us.
Right.
Yes.
Watch credits, O sea, look for credits.
Yeah,
Of
exactly.
the movies and projects that you like, or the ones that you feel that they are using kind of the same thing that you are managing, for example, what you're interested in. Just, yeah, and Google, I agree. We are always going to be open to receive you. So it's 10:30. Thank you very much. I don't know if we have actually a few more minutes or that's it. Okay, bye. We are really happy. Thank you, Benji. Hello.
Yeah, you're so great. We love you. We love you, guys. It's just great. You're doing wonderful. And you know what? This is the very last chapter of this series of From Home Expo Day with you, and you rocked. It was the best before the summer break. We'll be back from September, but now it's a summer break. So you give us the willing to party now. It's just, woo!
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening
Thank you.
over there, and a good evening for the French, and good day for you.
Thank you, guys. Google.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.